Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me. We've had a week of NFL football. My wife left this morning with a jacket on, and I busted out the ghost coffee mug with a bow tie. I think it is officially fall no matter what the calendars say, so I am happy for that. Obviously, fall is in the top two of the four seasons, in my opinion. We're going to look at a Thursday night matchup that I think will be exciting for the viewer, and that is Minnesota visiting Philadelphia. Let's check it out. After week one, you may have your doubts about the Vikings. I know that their performance was a bit underwhelming, so we will talk about all things Eagles, Vikings in this video. I also have a special sports betting piece of wisdom, a little nugget, if you will, something that's transferable far beyond this game. So we will talk about that later on in the video. But for now, we'll start with the promos. As always, play your promos, people. It's the best way to make money sports betting. FanDuel is offering a no sweat same game parlay. Mine's for $5. Little weak, but we'll take what we can get. And they also have a 50% same game parlay profit boost. I'll share my play later in this video. DraftKings has an up 7 early win. There's a couple of ways to play this. I will tell you what I've had success doing so far. It's taking the underdog and then taking the favorite at the book with the best favorite odds. So what that gives you a chance to do is win both bets. So it happened in the Jets game. I took the Bills up 10. They went up 10. I also had money on the Jets money line. They ended up winning the game. I won that. So in this game, I bet the Vikings. So if the Vikings go up 7, they score the first touchdown, I win that bet. The Eagles go on to win the game, I'll win my other bets. So just an idea, not something you need to do, not something you have to play, but that's how I play it. Worst case, you break about even. And finally, Caesars has a Thursday $25 same game, $25 same game parlay. Get a 50% same game parlay boost for another NFL game. And again, DraftKings also, I believe, has a risk-free bet on Thursday. So tons of promos. Check them all out. Make sure you're betting them all. So let's talk about the conditions. This game will be played in Philadelphia. Amazing weather, 76 degrees, probably low 70s by the time it kicks off. Nothing to complain about there. But did you know the Eagles used to have a jail under their stadium? Fun fact for you, make sure you share that with your buddies on Thursday night while you're watching the game. Last week, as we said, the Vikings had a disappointing 3-point loss to Tampa Bay in Minnesota, but I want to point out a few things about this game that I think are critical to understand. Minnesota had double the penalties of Tampa Bay. They had 2 interceptions and a fumble, and Tampa Bay had no turnovers. So the Vikings were -3 in the turnover differential. They had double the penalty yards, and they only lost by 3. So, I know not everything is as equal on paper, but I would say that the Vikings played a better game. They certainly had more yards than Tampa Bay. They certainly looked better on defense than Tampa Bay, but they let themselves lose the game with some, avoidable errors. As for the Eagles, we saw them go into Foxborough and win the game 25-20. Now, they did have a 16-0 lead in the first quarter, so, only scoring 9 points to the Patriots 20 after the first quarter is something to note. I will say one of the things that's jumped out to me on paper was that A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith had 20 targets combined, 10 each. The rest of the team had only 10 combined. Now, running backs got a bulk of those. Dallas Goedert only got 1 target. So, again, something to watch. If teams can stop the Eagles on the ground and they can contain these top 2 guys, it's going to be interesting to see where Jalen Hurts decides to go. Now, I expect Goddard to get quite a few more targets this week. I think this last week's performance was a bit of an outlier, but certainly something to keep your eye on. Looking at the offenses last week, and I know this is an incredibly small sample size, only one game, but the Vikings passed it phenomenally, okay? To 300 yards for Kirk Cousins. Now, he did have a ton of attempts, but he completed 33 out of 44 of his passes. They didn't rush at all, and we'll talk about why in a second. As for the Eagles, they didn't really get much going. I think Belichick does a great job of game planning for team strengths. So he knew who he was dealing with Jalen Hurts, with this offense. So I think Belichick is kind of an outlier in terms of how he prepares for games. So I do expect that the Eagles will get it going a little more this week, but something to keep your eye on that the Vikings did have a pretty solid game even in a loss. As for defenses, though, this is what is really grabbing my attention. The Vikings defense was solid. Only 169 pass yards. Now, they were playing Baker Mayfield, so take that for what it's worth. They didn't get to the QB too much, which is an alarming statistic, but their red zone defense was solid. Only one red zone touchdown in 2 red zone attempts, so they were doing well to contain Tampa Bay's offense. Now, for the Eagles, holy smokes, you're going to let Mac Jones do you this bad? 300 yards for Mac Jones. Now, he did throw it 54 times, but he completed 35 of those. He had 3 passing touchdowns, and this is a passing defense that we saw excel last year, even when teams were trailing them. The Eagles were good against the pass. So I expect this to regress a little bit, but not enough that I don't have my eye on some plays this week. My questions for each team as we walk into this game is, will the Vikings abandon the run again if they start trailing the Eagles early? I think they have the passing offense to do so and not get burned by it. However, one of the reasons we saw them abandon it last week was because their starting center left in the first quarter, and their left tackle also left in that game. So there is a chance that their starting center is out for this Thursday night game. Short week, no time to recover, and their left tackle was limited in practice this week. So I don't think that's a good matchup against this defense, against the new rookie Jalen Carter, who I believe had the most QB pressures of any defensive player last week. Keep your eye on that for this team. My questions for the Eagles are, if Mac Jones gave them trouble, what is Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson going to do to this secondary? Look at these injuries. This was their injury report on Monday. Their starting safety, Reed Blankenship, did not practice. James Bradbury, cornerback, did not practice. Nakobe Dean, linebacker, did not practice. Defensive tackle, Fletcher Cox, did not practice. That is a defender at every layer of the defense. That's not good for this team facing a great passing offense. So again, keep your eye on these positions. I know that Kenneth Gainwell did not practice on Tuesday. You see 3 guys here with rib injuries. I don't know if anybody's ever had a rib injury watching this. Those are serious. An ankle injury, wrap it up, shoot some stuff in it. You can play for a game. A rib injury cannot be tended to. It is tender. It hurts. It makes a grown man cry. So just keep your eye on those injuries. Really tough to prep for, really tough to avoid, and really tough to play through. Taking a look now at the numbers, and this is the hardest part about making this content. I think my goal going forward is going to be just trying to provide you with tips, tidbits, and knowledge as it relates to sports betting in general and the game that you can use no matter what, because sometimes providing you with info on lines is difficult depending on when you watch the video, depending on when I upload it. So these were the lines yesterday. They're pretty similar with just one small change we'll talk about. Vikings are plus 265 on the money line, and I think even now you can get 270. There is most spreads are at 7 right now, although Hard Rock is ticking up to 7.5, but the juice is on plus 7.5, so pretty much it's sitting at 7. The over has gone up. It is at 48.5 and 49. So I just want to say that I'm going to provide as much as I can, the most up-to-date odds, the most reasonable odds, but keep in mind with these videos, double check. All right, things are going to change by the time I put these out. Before we get into the bets I like for this game, I do want to address the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that I am 1-11 right now on my primetime picks, down 7.5 units. Now, guys, again, I've said this before. This is about providing entertainment. This is about sticking to unit sizes. This is about playing smart. So it's a long season. It's only week 1. I am not concerned because I know how to manage my bankroll. Now, the other thing is this. We have handicapped the games mostly correct in terms of how I think the game will go, in terms of how I think matchups will show themselves. I think we've done a great job. We've just had some bad beats. Marvin Jones, for example. Yes, I put all my eggs in Marvin Jones' basket. And what happened? He had 6 targets in the game. He caught 2 of them, so he barely missed the receptions. He dropped 2 easy catches, and Goff sailed 2 over his head. So, we were right there on that. As far as this game, I blew this game, right? But we had pretty reasonable units on this game. It was cold. It was rainy. The Dallas' defense was great. Okay, I screwed up. Fine. All right. And then this game is just unlucky, right? Rodgers goes down before completing a pass, but after watching that whole game, I don't think these were bad bets. I think Rodgers would have been fine. I think he would have been excellent against this Buffalo Bills defense, especially considering Zach Wilson was average to above average. So take a breath, as Rodgers would say, relax, we will be fine. Let's look at Thursday. Here are my bets for this Thursday's matchup, and this is the lesson that I want to give you right now. When I talk about speed, when I talk about value, when I talk about an edge, I saw yesterday that Gainwell did not practice because of a rib injury. I also saw that DeAndre Swift only had 1 carry last week, but that they want to incorporate him into the offense more. I was looking at his odds to score a touchdown, and what did I find? DraftKings as a massive outlier, 275 for him to score. FanDuel had it listed at 125, more than double the value of FanDuel. Now, other books also had him pretty respectable, okay? Hard Rock at 260 was some value. Caesars at 225 was a little bit of value. Check out what this is right now, okay? Books have adjusted. So again, I'm going to track this at that number, which I get is not maybe fair to the audience because they had no chance to get it at that number. But it shows you how important it is to scope out lines and try to get in early if you think there's value. Okay, that's a 1-unit play. Another 1-unit play is TJ Hawkinson to score a touchdown. I think this defense is vulnerable. It saw 6 targets go Hunter Henry's way last week. Hunter Henry scored a touchdown. Let's try it again. Let's take a tight end in an awesome offense, a top 3 league tight end in Hawkinson to get in the end zone at 255. Finally, I'm going to bust it out. Our first 2-unit play of the year. That is the Vikings team total over 20.5 at plus 105. This can be found on Hard Rock. The Vikings can score 3 touchdowns against this defense. I firmly believe that. Now, is it going to be a hostile environment in Philadelphia? Absolutely. But if Philly is missing a defensive line, a cornerback, a linebacker, and a safety, I think this over 20.5 poses phenomenal value for the prolific force that this offense can be. However, they may start all those guys, and that's fine. I still like the bet, but right now, I really love them to score at least 3 touchdowns or get over this total at plus 105. Finally, I told you I'd talk about my same game parlay boost. And again, these are for fun. I'm going to track these, use these for entertainment. This is what I'm going with. Jordan Addison to score a touchdown on this defense. TJ Hawkinson to score a touchdown on this defense. And then Vikings plus 10.5. This is a $10 play, which pays out $191 if we can cash all 3 of those. I'm feeling good about Kirk Cousins rolling on Thursday. So hold your breath. Finally, if you guys appreciate the content and you want to know where the sub button is, it's right down there. If you can click it, it helps me a ton. I appreciate it. I'm going to hopefully start coming through for you guys with these picks, but hopefully I can shed some light on the game because at the end of the day, you can make your own decisions about what you do with the money, but I do want to provide you with information that helps you make wiser decisions. So if you want to follow my other modes of media presentation, TikTok and X/Twitter is right there. Have a good one, and we will see you next time on another video that's probably coming soon.